On my first trip to the modern, I turned a corner and stood rooted before the white linen of a Cézanne, a still life, and I thought how clean his brushes were. And in all that distance, patience was the first lesson. I remember ascending marble stairs, the Metropolitans, perhaps 20 or more years ago, and being stunned as I gradually ascended by the staggering expanse of a Renaissance feast, stunned by the art of seeing. Then I saw a slash of bright pink on the inner thigh of a hound at the feast near the cave of a table, so startling, so exact in its lucency that I felt my heart halt, and it did. However, not the babble of the unheard figures of their gestures were as rich with the stitches of light along the embroidered sleeves, or the forked beards and ballooning doublets as the bitch nosing through a dark forest of holes. So a miracle leaves its frame, and from one epiphanic detail illuminates not a moment but its entire epoch, like a medal in Holbein, an earring in Vermeer, the tail and lucent flesh of a wolfhound or whippet, like the shock of that casual phrase in Dante, as it pleased another, where the parenthesis contains the whole. In Las Meninas, the glint of Velázquez's pupil. Each one has the weight of its subject in a shrug, just a brushed stroke between us. Between me and the history of Italy, the bright thigh of a dog, the leveling of awe to the ordinary, to an even middle between the sublime and the common, prologue and epilogue, and whatever the light holds remains the inflexible riddle. Everything else is a blur, even the painter Veronese or Tiepolo, a turmoil of Venetian red, of lucent flesh, of balustrades, carved arches, a sort of terrace or balcony with other figures leaning. In the bright mesh of Venice with its lace foam, its light on lace arches, I saw Veronese's feast in the house of Levi, magnifying itself from the page. But in it, no light catches in that dark grove of legs the flash of a hound's thigh. Nor do I need to go foraging for authentication of what, being right, might fade or change, and confirm that yes, it is Veronese. Memory and imagination ignite in that brush stroke, whichever wrist it came from. And anyway, isn't that the exact perspective of loss? That the beloved can blur in her features, except some detail, the smile with its dimpled corners, the rasp of a voice with its mocking affection, over which time draws its veil. Until you can remember, of all the dumb things, her young knees under an olive dress, and the way she had of walking across self-arranging trees, or Veronese, her hair in a coronet, her mouth's careful way of talking. So include the rose-petal lips, the gold-streaked hair in a garland of sculpted braids, her blush-shot cheeks around that Locolan table, and lean when she speaks to catch her sweet breath. Be the blessed one near her, while shadows of centuries pass over the brilliant ground of the fruits, meats, and linen, where her bending hand, languid as a lily, bends and caresses an arching hound, feeding its scraps from a forest of taffeta dresses in the paint-laden light, Tiepolos or Veroneses, more lasting than daylight in Venice, caught in the frame that preserves us for good, nosing dog and bright mistress, an epoch she signs without knowing her painter's name.